Ever reach for that coral necklace and wonder, where did this actually come from?
Yeah.
Because today, that's exactly what we're doing, diving deep into the fascinating world of coral jewelry. And let me tell you, I had no idea how complex this seemingly simple accessory actually is.
It's really incredible, isn't it? It's amazing how something so seemingly small can be connected to these larger issues of the environment and really make us think about ethical sourcing and all of that.
It's true, and I think for most people, when you think of coral jewelry, you just think, oh, it's like a pretty shell or something. But before we even get into all the ethical stuff,
Right.
we kind of have to blow people's minds about what coral actually is.
Absolutely, because
Yeah.
it is not just some rock that we pluck out of the ocean. We're talking about living organisms here.
Okay, so walk me through this. What exactly are we looking at when we see that beautiful red coral necklace?
So, you know those intricate patterns and those vibrant colors that we love about coral?
Yeah.
That actually comes from colonies of tiny animals called coral polyps. And they basically build their skeletons out of calcium carbonate, which, fun fact, is the same stuff that makes up seashells.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then over many generations, these skeletons, they sort of grow and fuse together, and that forms the coral reefs that we see.
So wait, that red coral necklace I have is actually a colony of tiny animal skeletons. That's kind of blowing my mind right now.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild thought when you really break it down.
Yes?
And when we talk about coral jewelry, we're usually talking about a specific type of coral called precious coral.
Right.
And this usually refers to species in the Corallium genus, which are known for those vibrant red and pink colors. And this is the stuff that has been highly sought after for centuries, literally.
That makes sense. But we've all heard the whispers about coral being endangered. So what makes this precious coral so vulnerable?
Well, remember how we talked about the coral polyps building their skeletons over time?
Yeah.
Well, let's just say they're not the fastest builders out there. Some species grow at an average rate of just a millimeter per year. Yeah, just a millimeter.
That's incredibly slow.
It is. And when you think about it, we've been harvesting this precious coral for centuries, particularly in areas like the Mediterranean. It's put a huge strain on these ecosystems that just can't replenish themselves fast enough.
It's like taking a piece of history, literally. But hold on. It's not just the coral itself that's impacted, right? There's got to be a ripple effect here.
Yeah, definitely. Coral reefs are incredibly important to marine life. They're like underwater cities teeming with life. They provide food and shelter for a huge range of fish and other marine species.
Right.
So when we damage a reef by overharvesting, it's not just the coral that suffers.
Makes sense.
Studies have actually shown that fish diversity plummets, the reef is more susceptible to disease. And yeah, it can really throw the whole ecosystem out of whack.
That's a lot more impactful than many people realize. So given that impact, can't we just farm coral like we do with pearls?
It's a good thought, but it's not quite that simple. While there are efforts to farm coral, and this is mostly for reef restoration or for aquariums, precious coral is much more finicky.
Whoa.
It requires these very specific deep-sea conditions to thrive, which makes large-scale farming difficult and, let's be real, not that economically viable either.
That makes sense. Which brings us to bamboo coral. I've seen this marketed as a more sustainable alternative. Is that just clever marketing or is there any truth to it?
This is where things get a little tricky.
Okay.
Bamboo coral is a different species. It grows much faster. However, naturally, bamboo coral is either white or kind of a pale color.
Huh.
So to make it commercially appealing, the industry often dyes it red.
Oh, to mimic the pricier corallium coral.
Exactly.
So not exactly the eco-warrior win it's made out to be. There's a lot of murky water in the coral industry, it seems. So for those who love the look of coral, is there any way to wear it ethically or is it just a no-go?
It's a really tough question, and there's no easy answer. Some people believe that vintage or antique coral is a more ethical choice because those pieces are already in circulation. They're not contributing to new harvesting.
It's kind of like the argument for buying secondhand clothing, right?
Exactly. You give something a new life instead of contributing to the demand for brand new production.
Right.
But it's not a perfect solution. Some argue that any market for coral, even vintage, still supports the industry and its practices, even if indirectly.
Yeah. And, we've even seen some big luxury brands like Tiffany & Co. They've really grappled with these ethical concerns.
Yeah.
And they ultimately decided to completely stop selling coral jewelry altogether, which is pretty significant.
Yeah.
So it really highlights how complex the issue is. After diving deep into this, what's the main takeaway for you?
I think it really comes down to recognizing that everything's connected. That beautiful piece of coral jewelry has a backstory, a much longer history, and a far greater impact than we might initially think.
It's a good reminder that even seemingly small choices, like what jewelry we buy, can have pretty big consequences. It makes you think about how we can all be more informed consumers. Ensure our love for beautiful things doesn't end up harming the planet. Definitely something to ponder the next time you're admiring that coral jewelry.